Okay. Welcome back to another episode of The Script is Better. How are you, Beck?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks. Today is Air Force One. We've read Air Force One.
We have done so.
Have we? You have read it, right?
I did do it. This time I did do it. I decided to actually do. Yeah.
You're not gonna just fake it this time?
No. Yeah,
Okay,
New Year's
good.
resolution. Actually read the scripts.
Well, I mean, that is just half the work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 1/4 of the work, I guess. 1/3, maybe. The math doesn't matter. The script was written by Andrew Marlowe.
It was.
One thing before we get started, whoever wrote this version of the script just did a horrible job spelling.
Oh, I thought, yeah. I think that was like an accident or something. I feel like that was just like they put it into a program kind of thing. And like when it went over from like Final Draft 1 to Final Draft 8, it just got like destroyed and they didn't go over it to fix it.
Right. The only other reason I could think of is they were typing it up and got so exhausted their face fell on their keyboard.
Yeah.
A string of random letters printed out for 10 seconds before they woke up and realized and just decided to get back to work.
That sounds like the funner explanation for sure.
I think mine is more plausible, Beck. I just think, isn't it Occam's razor?
You know what? If I was familiar with it, it would be probably that.
Maybe. What I'm trying to remember which one it was. One of them is the whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and the other one is when you eliminate the impossible, whatever's left must be the truth.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's Occam's razor. I think Occam's razor is whatever will go wrong or can go wrong will go wrong. Anyway,
it states that entities should not be multiplied without necessity.
You know what, Beck? I think in the end, all this has nothing to do with Air Force One. But in Air Force One, a lot goes wrong.
That's true.
Yeah. And the president has to take care of shit. So
he does do that.
Yeah. So Air Force One, Beck, what were your initial impressions of the read?
I loved the read. I love the read because the writer's voice is so fun and he was able to communicate like kind of simple things in a refreshing way and not in a way that slowed down the reading. It was just like, oh, that was a nice way to say that instead of, he walks over here. He just always gave things a little bit of a flair and it made the read so nice. And story-wise, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I've seen it. It's Die Hard or any of these other kind of stories that we've seen before, but at the end I did tear up, so I'm hoping
you teared up at the end.
I did. I teared up at the end when they said, is it the KC-10, we are now Air Force One, the president is on the plane. I was like, oh, he's on the plane.
He's on the plane. Yeah, he definitely downgraded his Air Force One, but
yeah,
he upgraded his life expectancy.
And his relationship with his daughter and his wife.
Did he, though?
Yeah. He, showed them that he cares.
Yeah, for sure. I'm 100% with you on this was a great script, and it had great writing, and there was definitely great voice and everything in it. This whole thing about him being a distant father because he's the president, and he's got a job to do, and then him showing that he loves his family based on fighting off terrorists. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but because
he loves his family because he's willing to risk his life for them.
Yeah, I just never felt from the beginning. I felt like he was a good guy, and I never felt that was in question. I felt that he was a good guy doing the best that he could because he's like, I'm the president, I've got a job to do, and I do love my family, but obviously my job's going to take precedence in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about that. Whoever this is, the president always has to be the president for everyone, not just his daughter.
Yeah. So the president takes precedence.
Yeah. It's a good sentence. Yeah. Okay. So you really like the script. That's great.
I did. So you agreed with me on that. Did you have anything else about the story that you really enjoyed right off the top?
I have anything else I really enjoyed off the top? I mean, there's just style, like you were saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a classic action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just from the one-liners.
Yeah. I found like two of those where I was like, "Ha, funny." Like,
I think that happened like right one after another.
oh yeah.
Like, which ones are you talking about?
There's one at the beginning where Marshall's like, I'm not sure, it's like riding a bicycle downhill with no brakes and somebody shooting at you.
Oh, okay, that
Or,
was okay. That was a good line, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
But I'm talking about more like if he like punches somebody out with something. If he knocks somebody out with his head, he'd be like, "That's using your head." Kind of
Oh,
thing.
I miss those. Okay. Maybe. I was like, yeah, that is using your head. Okay, continue reading. So, cool. So excited for delivery then to see Harrison Ford do this.
Yeah. I mean, there was a line, like, just one of the lines that you were saying. There was another line where people fall off the plane, and one of the evil Turkmenistan people gets thrown off the plane, and there's a line that says, "With a scream woven from 1,000 nightmares."
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think about that.
But it's beautiful and it paints such a nice picture, which is, yeah, what we were saying about the read. It's just very, very visual and nice. It seems like if they said like, in this action script that you're going to read, we want it to be like almost very pretty and like really to strike the reader with like a little bit of more of like a poetic and like prose kind of style. I mean, being given that job, I'd be like, excuse me? Like, what? You want me to make this like action, like that's using your head script to have like poetry in it as well? Okay. But it turned out so nice. And I know that wasn't a task that he was probably given. That's just his voice. But yeah, if the task was given to me, I would have a hard time doing it. I appreciate that that's just him as a writer. That's so cool. And I didn't look it up, but I want to know what else he's written so that I can read that too. And my cat also wants to read it.
I don't think he can read. I have little faith. Unless it's, no, not even the ingredients on a food menu or whatever. On a food
tuna?
menu. He can't read, no, he can't read tuna. He can smell tuna.
Fair.
Yeah. So as much as we liked the script, did you notice any plot holes in it?
So I actually just maybe had a question, a confusion around just one part. So I know that they get on the plane because Gibbs is like a secret agent of the Russians, and he's the guy who scans their ID once they get to the plane, allowing them to go on the plane. So they're like in cahoots together. Great. That allows them to get on the plane. But Walters, who is not a bad guy, and another special agent next to Gibbs, is searching their equipment and doesn't find anything in their camera equipment that says this is not camera equipment. This is actually like a weapon.
I mean, we're either going to speak to how good the Turkmenistan evil guys are, or to how bad Walter is at his job.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he should not be a Secret Service agent. Though he fell in the line of duty, and we should respect him.
It's true. And then, so my only other question was, probably the movie will answer it because visually I'll be able to see it, but in the script I wasn't sure if I understood this correctly. Is it that all of the weapons that they get are from fallen Secret Service agents, and they actually entered the plane with no guns, just with that like smoke bomb that they had in their camera? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. And then they had Gibbs, who had his own gun, right? And so he's able to kill off a couple of his buddies and get guns for the other evil people.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually like a really well executed plan.
Yeah. I mean, you'd need a Secret Service agent who was secretly a Turkmenistan spy, had gotten close enough and through all the testing and everything else to be in the inside quadrant of whoever protects the president. I think that's asking a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe it's easier than you think.
Yeah.
The one plot hole, not plot hole, but one plot thing, we're going to call it a thing, that I noticed was going to Iraq. So there was this big shootout or dogfight in Iraq at the end, as like in the third act, right?
Yes.
And that's cool. But I do feel like Iraq had no part of this up until then, just beyond them saying, like, we could fly to Iraq if we needed to, or like saying that Iraq was nearby. Beyond that, I feel like the only reason Iraq was a part of this was so that this movie could feature all of the in vogue American villains of the time, right? They had Turkmenistan, who is kind of like subbing in for Russia. Like, they're friends with Russia, but Turkmenistan is close enough that we can pretend like they're the Russian evil guys.
Right.
And then they had Iraq as the Middle East. And then, if they could have found a way, they would have shoehorned China in somewhere as well. But they didn't manage it. So, yeah.
I was just wondering, this is in the 90s now, because I was young when the two towers fell. My knowledge of Iraq and U.S. having poor relations is that started in 2001, because that's when the two towers fell, and that's what ignited. But that's obviously wrong then. So that for a long time there was feuding, and that was the culmination of Iraq's frustration with the U.S. and then the U.S. going to war afterwards. That's how it goes?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's definitely...
If you had to explain it to a third grader, that's what you'd say.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Third grade is my political understanding, or at least history-wise.
Right.
I went off Instagram for a while, and then I just started reading the news so much more because I needed something for my fingers to do. I had to swipe on my phone, so I just started reading them. So right now I feel pretty I know what's up, I feel. But 1997, no idea.
Sure. Yeah, right now you know that if they needed an enemy in an American movie, they'd throw in Iran or Mr. Trump.
China as well.
Yeah, for sure. Korea was all the rage for a while, but right now they're kind of taking sideline.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about China, I heard that in the 90s, they used to use China, 90s and maybe 80s, they used to use China as a villain. But since they started to depend so much on the Chinese market, they stopped using China as a villain. So now other countries are used as villains instead, like Korea and more Middle East and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Guys, we're actually friends with them, so since everything in movies is real, we can't actually do that. It's a story. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah. No. Well, they want the movie to be popular in the Chinese market, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. With a Marvel movie, Marvel is never going to have a Chinese villain.
What?
I think it's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
even just as an example, the Mandarin is a Chinese villain, and then in Iron Man 3, he was made to come from the Middle East, right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, the Mandarin is a very offensive villain that they needed to change in some way,
right,
to make appropriate. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the term Fu Manchu.
Yes.
Yeah, he's very much just that stereotype.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he's got 10 rings that he uses to do magic to fight Iron Man.
Oh.
So yeah, he's not a very proper villain to begin with.
Okay. Is also Tilda Swinton's character in Doctor Strange also supposed to be of Asian descent?
He is supposed to be Asian in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a man and he is Asian, and yeah, I think there were people angry that they switched it to being a woman in the film and to being white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more the whites that people got angry about, which I can understand for sure.
So this movie
has nothing to do with all of that. Yeah, yeah, just no Chinese villains, no. Right. But yeah, I'm not sure why Iraq had to feature in it. That's all.
Yeah, just to be, like you said, in vogue.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise they could have had I don't know, Turkmenistan could have had planes that could have come up and done a dogfight or something.
Right.
But yeah, that's the way it went. So that's kind of just the plot thing that I was a little iffy about.
Right.
What are you most excited to see come to life in the film?
I'm excited to see the layout of the plane because for sure I didn't understand any of that. I know the cockpit and I know the baggage storage area, and I could understand when they were going up and going down. But like any of the other, like, this is where we are, we're in the galley, we're in the blah, we're in the this. I'm like, you could be at any part of the plane right now, and I have no idea. Like, I have no idea how far away or how close to the bad guys you are, like what the real stakes are in this moment, because I don't know the terminology of these spaces, and I can't visualize it from like what you're giving me enough. So I'm definitely excited to see that play out. I'm excited for Alice's sass, because 13-year-old sass is great, and it just reminded me of myself when I was that age. She's fantastic.
Okay.
I feel her. And then
I got you, girl.
Yeah. When I was first reading it, I couldn't see Harrison Ford, so I'm excited to see Harrison Ford do this.
You know, I got, my last note was eat your heart out, Han Solo.
Yeah.
Because for one thing, I for all the love Han Solo gets, I feel like he's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I think that this guy, Mr. President Marshall, is so much more actiony. He does shit all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's fucking ass. I mean, he just does it and is like, well, he doesn't even think about, like, if I fail. He just, like, goes. And you're like, oh, amazing. Like, risk the life of his daughter, like, by shooting a bad guy who's holding on to his daughter. Just like, no, I'll get her. I'll catch her. It's fine. I'm going to kill this guy who's holding on to her. He's going to fall out of the plane. I'm going to catch her. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, he knew he had to do it, right?
Yeah.
He knows what he has to do and he does it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. That's cool, yeah. I'm most excited to see the scene where Marshall gets captured the first time and he's on the phone call with the Situation Room back in the West Wing, and they shoot the plane. They shoot the side of the plane. Well, they shoot at the plane so that the plane reacts, and there's an explosion close enough that it knocks them all down, and they have to do defensive maneuvers, which helps Marshall fight his way to victory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really clever.
Totally. So that's such a cool concept, and I want to know if that's true. Like, does Air Force One have just things that automatically go into play if there's, like, danger around it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I was just about to take a look, but I'm like, these are the kind of searches that you don't want on your on your computer, like defensive capabilities of Air Force One. You don't want that in your search history.
Totally not. I did Google Air Force One just to see, like, what year it came out earlier, and then a video popped up that was Air Force One movie, Hollywood versus reality, airline pilot reacts. So after watching the movie, I'm definitely going to watch that to see how closely to reality they stuck. Okay,
that's cool. Yeah. Very cool. There's so many of those. This professional reacts to these things, videos these days, eh? Like there's some popular ones. I think there's one called Legal Eagle.
Oh.
He's a lawyer who, like, watches law movies or TV shows or just talks about law, and he, like, goes into what Trump can do, and he covers a lot of different things.
Cool.
Yeah, and then there's one called Dr. Mike, I think.
Oh my god, I eat up Dr. Mike's video. That's like my, like, guilty pleasure. Like, yes, react to Grey's Anatomy, let's do it.
Yeah, well, you already love Grey's Anatomy, right?
I do.
Yeah. Didn't he also he did The Good Doctor, right?
He's done all of them. He's done The Resident, he's done, like, everything.
House.
Yeah, House. The House ones are great. I just love how he pauses it so often in the House ones to just be like, this guy's such a dick. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't use that language, but yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of positions, even if you're a doctor, like, you have specialized skills, but all of these positions are still customer service positions. House probably couldn't get away with everything he gets away with.
No.
But suspension of disbelief, so...
Yeah. He also talks about how there's no way that House can, like, know all of the things that he knows based off the limited amount of symptoms that somebody presents. And they would do so many more tests before coming to, like, a supposed diagnosis. And so I was like, interesting. So if you write a show about something that you don't fully know about, you can kind of you can really push the boundaries of suspension of disbelief and really make your characters way smarter than they would be in real life. Like, a little bit. He's like a superhero doctor. In that show. Yeah.
Well, he's supposed to be Sherlock, right?
Okay, yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be Sherlock, and the other guy, I don't remember his name, but he's supposed to be Watson. And then I guess
Cute.
all his team is maybe Watson in a way, but yeah. And so he's supposed to apparently know everything, but you're completely right. Dr. Mike's completely right. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the actual movie. I don't even remember how we got onto this, but I guess we can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you think was missing from the script then to go in a negative direction?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to counter. Okay, you go ahead.
No. I was actually just gonna set you up for. I guess you would say the relationship between the father and the daughter could be, and wife could be a little bit more developed. I assume.
I think it was developed fine. I think the problem was developed. Like, I can completely see how Alice would have a problem with her father not being able to attend her or like listen to how her day went and whatnot. And that's a classic problem that everyone can relate to. So it's great that they gave that problem to the president and to his daughter and his family in general. But I just think that, like, great, you're a 13-year-old. Too bad.
Yeah.
I just like it's the president. This is just like, for any other family, I'd be like, yeah, this person should definitely like just take some time and go and hang out with his family and listen some more. But I'm just like, the president just can't do that. I'm sorry.
Right.
I've got no sympathy. So I guess I'm just a dick. No, there was one thing that I think was missing was I wanted one of the either Rose, like probably Rose because she was a central character, and with the help of some of the other people to actually have killed off one of the terrorists themselves. I think maybe I'm making assumptions, but I think today in the 2010s, I think they would have had a plot line where they actually did make an attempt to escape and actually did like incapacitate or kill off one of the terrorists. I think they started to do that where they're like, oh, we're gonna check the roof panels, we're gonna lift up the carpet, nothing's working. I think they would have come up with some kind of plan, taken out one of the terrorists, but like been overwhelmed from there. I just think they would have had one moment to shine,
Right.
instead of it all being dependent on the president.
Yeah. Well, they had that one. They did have that one moment, but the
What was
president
that?
had already like foiled their like plan. Like when the president went into the room and they all charged him.
Right, exactly. They had one big plan, and it turns out that as soon as they execute the plan, it's the president coming in.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
But I feel like it would have worked though.
It probably would have worked, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the terrorists were not expecting it.
No.
But, yeah, I think I just wanted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't ruin the script or anything, or even make me dislike it. I just think it could have been there.
Yeah.
I liked Rose as a character, but I guess she was just the doting wife. I mean, she's contrary, but she had a little attitude.
Yeah, she stood up to him.
Yeah, but also respect and love.
Yeah.
Mutual love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was able to keep her cool in a situation and communicate to her husband the way to like get their hands free from being all taped up.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So that was her moment to shine. That was really good. Yeah. I like that there was real stakes too in the film, that a lot of people did die. Like, the president didn't give in as soon as like the secretary was, the stewardess was about to be shot.
Yeah. Miss Mitchell? Yeah, that was so sad.
Yeah. She's just like, she's dead.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they did a great job in general. Is there anything that I'm missing here? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. Fantastic. I guess we're going to go watch the film then, and we'll get back to you and see how we liked it, how it compared.
Sounds good.
All right. Later. Okay, Beck. Here is another mid-episode question. Today we're going to dig deep into your past as a dancer. You were a dancer for a number of years.
Yes.
Yes. And so you should be an authority on dance and dance movies. I would hope you study them all And having stepped the ball, you can now give our listeners a recommendation of what is the best dance movie.
At the top, there's definitely Dirty Dancing. Everyone thinks of that one. Black Swan, amazing. Even Campy Burlesque is a really good dance movie, and Step Up. All of those are great, but I think the best one for me is absolutely Singing in the Rain. So if you're a tap dancer or into tap, that movie is phenomenal, start to finish. And I can watch it over and over and over and never get tired of that movie. It's so good.
Singing in the Rain. I've never seen it. I know that it's very popular. It has the mother of I forget
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds. Okay, and she is the mother of
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. Oh, right. Okay, yes. Very good. Prestigious family acting business. Awesome. Well,
But also the iconic Make 'em Laugh scene. You've definitely seen that, or you've seen other people recreate it, right? The Make 'em Laugh, Make 'em Laugh. And the guy
no.
keeps hitting himself and falling over and he's back to, oh, watch that. Joseph Gordon-Levitt also did a redo of it on SNL for his cold open or whatever. It was very good as well.
Hey, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Well, let's go watch Singing in the Rain then, or the other dancing movies you suggested. My closest dance movie I've seen is Moulin Rouge, so more like a song movie.
So just a musical?
Can we even call that a musical? I don't like calling it a musical because it's just singing pop songs.
Right. Sure.
Fair enough. That's a discussion for another mid-episode question. What is a musical? Okay, let's get back to the film then. So we're back, and now we have watched Air Force One, the film.
We did do that.
Yes, with quite the cast in it too. A lot of big names, right?
Did you know anybody beforehand apart from Harrison Ford?
I only knew it was going to be Harrison Ford. I didn't know about Glenn Close.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I didn't know about William H. Macy.
Another great actor.
Yes. I did not know who else was in it.
Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman.
Oh, of course, Gary Oldman. Yes, of course. Who seems to have done who just pops up in 90s movies everywhere, right?
Everywhere. Just a character actor who completely disappears into the role.
Yeah. This reminded me of, did you ever watch the movie, it was with Natalie Portman and the older guy.
Leon the Professional?
Leon the Professional. Did you see that?
I did not.
Okay. Gary Oldman.
He's the older guy?
Nope, but he's in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he plays not a similar character, but you can feel a similar presence.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So some big names in there. And I thought, what did you think of Air Force One?
I thought, much like the script, this is an action movie. And it was enjoyable. It reminded me of action movies of the 90s, like the Die Hards and those sort of things. So, yeah, I had some nostalgia excitement. If it came out today, would I be super stoked to see it in theaters? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you feel?
I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think just taking it from, maybe jumping ahead and comparing it to the script in a way, I thought that it did what the script did, but it cut away the excess.
Aha.
Yeah. And so I think I really enjoyed that. I thought it was just clean and a good film.
All right.
Yeah. Except for getting back to Gary Oldman, there was a creepy Gary Oldman kiss at one point.
There was a really creepy Gary Oldman kiss. Yeah. Yeah. Within the context of what was happening, it made sense. So what happens is he kisses Alice's forehead, which is the daughter, the president's daughter, who's 12.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the script, that's not there if we're able to dive into differences.
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's going to be a heavy section for this particular episode because there's a lot of small differences that I noticed, at least.
Yeah. So this kiss wasn't in the script, and the conversation, I tried to find where, their entire conversation in this section isn't in the script either, and I think before in the script what they were talking about around this time was much more snarky between Alice and Igor, at the end of which Alice is do you know what the word asshole means? So it's like they have like this banter back and forth, and then she just like cuts him with that asshole comment. And in here, she's much more like frightened, which is more real to the situation. But she calls him a monster. Like, you're nothing like my father. And then at that point, he kisses her. And I'm like, okay, so this makes sense. He's like, I was just told that I was nothing like your father. Well, I'm going to do something to you that your father would do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good perspective to have. Yeah, that's a good take on it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Definitely. And yeah, I feel like maybe that was probably improvised by Gary Oldman. Like, he just felt it in the moment.
I mean, I would give that to Gary Oldman too, not taking away from the director or the writer, but
no.
I'm going to give that one to Gary as well.
Yeah. Like, it was definitely not in the script, like you were saying. And so I feel like maybe it was just like the heat of the moment. It felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool, for sure.
Yeah. So hit me with another difference.
Okay, Beck, there is a list that we can just tick off here. Okay? Number 1, Kazakhstan instead of Turkmenistan.
I love that. Yeah. I love that simply for the fact that I could say it without thinking about it. Like, you can say Kazakhstan.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they're both real countries, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But
I said yes like I knew. I didn't.
Oh, no, they're definitely both real countries.
Awesome.
And it's, yeah, I don't think it changes anything. They're both close to Russia, and they both would have been probably within the Soviet Union when they were the USSR, right?
Right. I'm so glad you said USSR, because like one of the first things that you see in the film is like, this is where we are, the USSR. And reading that, I realized that I had no idea what that stood for. And like up until this point, had heard it a billion times, but never cared to like find out. Just been like, yeah, sure. Back in the USSR, the Beatles sing about it. It's probably some country or something. I don't know. So now I know. I at least know what it stands for. I didn't go further.
Okay, well, we'll go. What does it stand for?
Union of Soviet Specialist Republics.
Nice.
So my understanding is that it's like a bunch of different countries that then split.
Yes. Like, I think was that Russia expanded and took over a bunch of places, maybe like a little pre and during World War I and World War II. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but they would have like amalgamated a bunch of different places that were once different.
Oh, so like the complete opposite of what I said.
No, not necessarily.
It's like a bunch of different places that became one.
Yeah, I think so. So. Yeah.
Cool.
Like, they took over the Czech Republic as well, which was maybe Czechoslovakia, or no, it was one thing at one point, and they actually split into two.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of different places. Yeah. It's a cool piece of history, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one down. Kazakhstan instead of Turkmenistan. Do you have another one?
I'm sorry, before we leave that, we did talk about how like Iraq being involved at the end was very like on brand for the time. Do you think this switch from Turkmenistan to Kazakhstan is because of being like... No. Okay.
No, I looked into Kazakhstan because I'm not up on that history myself, and in no way was Kazakhstan ever at odds with the U.S.
Okay.
Or basically with anyone but probably Russia a bit. And that I'm making an assumption there even, but I think between Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, they just make good substitutes for Russia, I think.
Awesome. Yes, I do have another difference.
Okay.
One of the things I bumped against when we were talking about the script was that the Russian reporters get searched a second time right before they go onto the plane, and their camera crew all gets searched through, and then later on the plane they open up their camera like gear and have a smoke bomb. And I'm like, no. Like, it just got searched. We saw Special Agent Walters search your stuff. The smoke bomb would have been found. And then they fixed it in the film. Their gear was not searched a second time, and it was actually Special Agent Gibbs on the plane who had the smoke bomb and released it.
Yeah, it's true.
It was a great fix for me.
Yeah, I agree. It just made more sense. I do think that their entire plan relied completely on Gibbs at that point, but
Yeah.
it really worked out. And if you don't mind, if we just throw in another change in that case, because we're talking about Agent Gibbs, just his role played throughout the movie was very different than in the script. In the script, he betrays everyone, and then he's instantly the bad guy, and everyone knows that he's with the enemy soldiers. In the film, he betrays everyone, but he's able to pretend like that he wasn't a part of things, and so he's with all the other prisoners huddled in the conference room, and it gives him a chance to do another betrayal at the end, one that you can see coming throughout the film, but just have to wait for.
Absolutely. I was watching him like often throughout the film and being like, when does this guy get his fucking comeuppance? Like,
Yeah.
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 I knew that was different. I wasn't sure that was the exact difference, but I love that you got that. Yeah. Cool. So he was in that room with the hostages, the boardroom where they were being kept. That room had a few different interactions throughout the film as well. One of them being that the First Lady, Rose, was in there with the group, and she suggested that they pull up the carpet to see if there's a way underneath the carpet to get out of the room. And in the film, there was no pulling up of any carpets.
This is true.
Which meant a change later in the film, because when they pulled up a carpet, they exposed some like metal piece that later in the script, Rose was able to signal to the president about, that he was able to use to then cut his duct tape handcuffs off. But in the film, no carpet, no exposed metal. Instead, Rose has no part in it, and Marshall just picks up this piece of glass and cuts his own duct tape handcuffs off, which, yeah, I thought was like a good change visually. And the carpet thing seemed a little weird anyways in the script, but I was sad that it took away some of Rose's role.
Yeah, I feel like in general, the film tightened things up, but they did it by just making the president do everything.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's the president's idea to fire on the plane instead of that being coming from, I think, the vice president or somebody in the Situation Room.
Yeah.
As well earlier. Yeah. And it just seems like the president does everything. And he did a lot of things in the script as well. But even the rest of the people in the conference room, when the president brings in the soldier, they had their escape plan ready. In the film, they do not have an escape plan ready. They are just waiting to die.
What was their escape plan again?
Remember, they're just like, we're gonna hide, and the next time a soldier comes in, we're gonna knock them out like quickly.
Yes.
And it ends up being the president coming in with a soldier that he captured, and so they like tackle the president before he's like, "It's me." Right.
But in the film, he just like walks in, and they're like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah, exactly, because they had no plan to escape. It's like, we're just gonna die here. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I agree. It seemed to just take away any moment from anyone else in the film. They did, in terms of Rose, was it her or was it Alice that they had at the end?
In the script, it was Alice. In the film, it was Rose.
Yes, okay, there we go. So, yeah, in the film, it was Rose. There's another change. And Rose, I'm not sure about how it happened in the script, but Rose knocks Igor, right? Which gives the president a chance to attack him. Yeah, and her a chance to get free. But in the script, the president actually shoots Igor in the head and then jumps to catch Alice before she falls out of the plane. Which we talked about being like, okay, that's like you're like you're putting a lot on your ability to be able to jump and catch this girl and not you yourself fall out of the plane. Yeah, it's true. Did you like that change then? I liked that Rose, because so much of her role was condensed and taken away, I liked that she had a moment to like, I'm going to contribute, I'm going to hit this guy. That. But I did like that it was the daughter in the script. I think that would have hit the president more. I'm surprised
Maybe it was because of the way everything was happening upstairs that Igor wasn't able to grab Alice instead of Rose. I'm not sure why they made that switch specifically, but I just think emotionally that would have played a little stronger than his wife.
Yeah, well, Alice was already the victim,
right?
The hostage that Igor used to get him to cooperate in the first place. So
right.
It would make sense to continue that, I feel, but
yeah.
In terms of Alice, then, because that's another change, how did you feel about Alice's role in the film versus the script?
In the film, she was a much more, I want to say, emotionally mature. Like, I would say she was just as smart in both, but in the script, she was super sassy, and I loved that. And in the film, she was just, level-headed for most of it, which I bumped against as well. There were moments when I was like, you would be in hysterics, like just bawling, screaming, I don't want to die. Like, there's no way that you would just be like staring with a single tear coming down your face.
Right.
Did you like the change?
I liked the change in the relationship with the president.
Okay.
Yeah, because in the script, she's got that, like, oh, my dad doesn't do anything with me kind of storyline, whereas in the film she's like, I'm mature, I'm old enough to be with you when you go do these things that are hard, like visiting, I think, dead soldiers or visit some kind of death.
He goes to like a camp,
right?
Yeah,
and so she wanted to be a part of that, and so I guess the film in a way she proves her maturity, but not by just by staying level-headed the entire time. So I don't think she grows in any way, and there's no real resolution to that plot line for her.
Right.
Yeah, I think I really bumped up against the "you're not paying enough attention to me" story that was in the script. So I'm glad that they made that change.
Whereas I'm like, I think I was like that when I was 11 or 12 too. With the same amount of sass.
Sure. Yeah, but it makes sense for you. It just doesn't make sense to me in my mind that the president's daughter would have a case here. So like, I get you want your dad's time, but your dad's the president. He's got to go do shit.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. Were there any other changes you noticed?
I didn't notice any more. You got any?
I got some. Okay, small things. Like, they didn't put as much emphasis on the launch codes in the film.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
We just saw that once, right? The guy was sleeping and it was attached to his hand.
Yes, exactly. And then later on in the Situation Room, they mentioned, like, you're now in charge of the launch codes to the vice president. So, like, they're secure. Whereas in the script, it was like a thing. Like, this guy heroically dashed to a shredder to shred the launch codes before the soldiers could get to them.
Yeah, and was killed in the process. It's like before hitting the ground, he hit like shred.
Yeah, exactly. Very dramatic.
Yes.
I think maybe kind of a red herring in the script to throw you off the fact that that like trying to make you think, oh, they want the launch codes. This is what their plan is. When it was really about hostage situation. So
that maybe gave it another bit of a level in the script that wasn't there in the film.
I mean, nothing that did anything for me in the script. Okay. I don't think it was necessary. Yeah, I think it was a good switch.
Cool.
Yeah, and then the one thing that I didn't like about the script, and so like you mentioned earlier, the Iraq part, they took the Iraq part out.
Yes.
There were no Iraq fighters. They didn't need to have Iraqi fighters, right?
No, they didn't. They did have fighters come up. Where did they come from? Turkey?
No, Kazakhstan.
They were, okay.
Yeah, rebel Kazakhstan fighters. Exactly. Yes. So like, just keep it all the one thing. That's all we needed. We didn't need to complicate it with another country.
It's true.
Yeah. It just makes more sense. It's easy that way.
Okay. One just came to me. So the president is so excited to watch this basketball game, and in the script, the basketball game was kind of playing throughout the movie, and it was in the film as well, but a flight crew member ruins the outcome of the game for the president, like right off the hop in the movie, and that doesn't happen in the script.
Yeah, it's true. I guess it wasn't really needed, right?
To be ruined?
it wouldn't. I mean, they didn't really need to have that game plot. Like it showed a bit of character at the beginning, and it wasn't really necessary to keep it going. I found.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Would you rather have it been throughout the plot, like throughout the story, like it was in the script?
I mean, I think I'd just rather not give Harrison Ford another opportunity to look unimpressed.
Okay, was that a big problem with you in this film, that he just looked unimpressed too much?
It just seems like he never wants to be like anywhere. I think the only time I've seen him smile is like at the end of A New Hope when he like smiles at Leia.
Yeah.
But like apart from that, I think he's just always like perpetually unimpressed. There's even a part at the beginning where he says like, "How dare we?" And it was so lifeless.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe they didn't go, "All right, great. Let's just do that one more time, just to make sure we've got it."
Sure. Yeah. I think there's a YouTube video that I saw one time of somebody doing a magic trick for Harrison Ford. He was like shocked and amazed, and he showed so much emotion.
I remember that, and he tells them to get the fuck out of his house, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Doesn't he get like really mad?
Not mad. Like, I think he's just like, get out. What? Yeah. That kind of thing. It was funny. Yeah.
So what's your last change?
My last change is there was a whole new plot line in the Situation Room where they're like, the president is technically unable to do his job anymore because he's in a hostage situation. Even if he's not captured yet, he's still in a hostage situation where he's not able to play the role of the president, and so technically they could have voted him out of office.
Right.
Yeah, which was interesting, I found. And it just gave the vice president a chance to be like, no, we can't do that, or to trust the president, or to not trust the president. And, you know, it gave them something to do in the Situation Room, although I did prefer when they were coming up with ideas and they were doing things like shooting at the plane.
Yep.
But at least it gave them something to do. It gave the little extra thing for the Situation Room to be relevant.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, and just one little thing to add on. There was a coward plot line. There was one guy that was like a coward, like, I don't want to die. Let's just try and, I don't know what he wanted to do, but he was more cowardly than the rest. And then he's the one that saves the president by throwing himself in front of the bullet.
He does.
Yeah. And that just wasn't there. I think there was still the guy who threw himself in front of the bullet, but he just never had that other moment. His role wasn't as big.
In terms of arc, he has the biggest arc out of anybody.
Yeah, he changes. He grows as a person. Yeah, exactly. Everyone else just stays the same.
Yeah. Fully, though. They were like, even in the script and in the movie, they're like, yeah, no, the president was like this when he was 19.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still just like this.
Yeah. There's no, like, leaving the village and going out into danger. He just is this person.
Yeah. For
sure. Okay, so I think we can set aside this whole what's different segment.
Yes. I have a question for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you loved or just commented on the one-liners in the script. How did you think they played in the film?
You know, the only thing I really noticed, the only line that I was like paying attention to, that I was looking for, because I recognize this line either from the script, or not the script, either from like a trailer that I saw one time, or just like a part of a flash of different movie quotes that they have on, like, before video cassettes or something. And it was of Harrison Ford saying, "Get off my plane."
I knew that's what it was going to be.
Of course it is.
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
I mean, it was built up in my head, so I think I was expecting a bit more.
Yeah.
But it is a classic line.
It's a classic line, but it was so cheese.
Yeah.
It was at such a weird spot. Like, so we talked about that difference where Harrison shoots Igor at that moment in the script, but in the film, we didn't say what he actually did. So in the film, he wraps the like parachute cord around Igor's neck and then pulls the cord, which effectively like hangs Igor and sends him shooting out of the plane, like floating down while dead. But so he does this wrapping, and before actually pulling the chute, he says that to Igor. I'm like, like, why did you stop to say "get off my plane"?
That's just action movie logic.
Fair.
Yeah, that's
But
the way it
of
works.
all of the things, it could have been like a pun or something else, just to be like so like expositional, like do the thing I want you to do. I'm going to tell you what you're about to do, like kind of thing. I was just like, oh, say something. I don't know. Make a comment about Russia, or I don't know. Say something.
Yeah. Nope. Get off my plate.
How about that CGI in this?
The CGI. What specifically do you mean?
Oh my gosh. When Air Force One goes into the water and Gibbs has that like beautiful moment of being in the door of the plane screaming no as it goes into the water. Flash like lands on the water and then folds and goes into the water. It was just like real, like, pause, we're gonna stop this. Here's a computer like from, I don't know, I want to say the 80s, and then we're going to go back to real life people. It was like pretty rough for me, which expectedly for the 90s for sure. I do remember how it all used to look, but I just wanted to like see if there was better stuff from that time. So I like looked up 90s CGI, and it was like pretty par for the course. There were some movies though, like Twister, which had better CGI. Even Anaconda's like Snake, I felt was better than this plane. And The Mummy, which was 2 years after this, was like way better.
Yeah, good movie.
You can see how far it all comes within only 2 years.
Yeah, that was just what it was then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. I definitely noticed it. Now that you bring it up, I noticed that it was a weird CGI moment, but I mean, I was like, what can you do? They were probably fine with it at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at that plane, so cool. Oh man. Okay, so what did you like about the film then, just in general? Or what are some other comments you want to make about this film?
Beginning of the film, credits slowly coming in, and there's just this epic music that just sounds presidential, and I got so excited. It was like, this is going to be so good. It reminded me, obviously, of The West Wing, because that's my idea of how the presidency actually is. And yeah, it just got me very excited. And I was jazzed from the top. I mean, I've already commented on Harrison Ford's acting. There were times when I just laughed out loud in it. There's a part where like he comes up from the cargo bay for the first time and he just like pops his head up and looks around. And that
was one of my favorite moments back.
It was so cheap.
It was just so funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I loved the Halo 2 fighter pilot flying into the missile in front of Air Force One so that Air Force One wouldn't get shot down. I know that happened in the script, but it didn't really register. And seeing it, I was like, this guy was just like, it's headed for Air Force One. I'm going in, and just like literally flies in front of it. Boom, explosion. And they're like, Halo 2 is down. Okay, let's keep going. I was like, whoa.
No one cares about that guy.
No. I was like, hello, Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
I mean, this girl reminds the president that you could fax and she's getting a promotion. This guy should get a fucking statue. Yeah, and then I also cried at the exact same spot that I thought I was going to cry at. That I did cry at in the script, and then that I thought I was going to cry at in the movie. And when it was coming up, I was like, oh, this is the part, like, I'm supposed to cry, but I probably won't. And then immediately after, just tears. So good.
Yeah. The part we were talking about before where Harrison Ford pops his head up through the cargo bay,
Tell me.
It reminds me, it makes the film kind of have a feel of a Indiana Jones type film. I know that's the same role. It's just, it's the fact that there's like the action, but there's also a little bit of humor going on, and like specifically that kind of Indiana Jones-esque humor that I found.
Right.
And there was another moment where Harrison Ford, after the plane has been shot at, Harrison Ford's plan to have the plane get shot at, and so that he could distract or knock down the guy that has him captured and fight him off. The president is fighting the guy, and you have a shot of like the entire Situation Room just sitting there or standing, hunched over, listening and waiting, and it just felt like a really comedic shot. Just like, and it cuts back to the president fighting.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about when they're on the phone listening and waiting, and the president, I don't remember what he does. Maybe it's that exact same moment that the president like gets a win, and then everyone in the room like shouts really loudly, excited. I was just like, he can hear you. Like you can hear when there's noise coming from a phone, even if it's not on speaker. Like, shut up. You guys just cheered so much. I bumped on that.
Get over it. Yeah.
Did you hear the line? It was from a guy in the White House in the Situation Room. He said the VP is like the Queen of England, suggesting that she has no power. And I was like, does the Queen have no power?
I think she just had money, right? And status.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's true. Like, she has no power. She has a lot of ceremonial power. Like, I think recently, is it Boris Johnson? Yeah, Boris Johnson had to do something in government. He had to request something from the Queen, a certain act. Like, they had to either like put the vote into place or to freeze the government for a bit or something. He was doing something. Anyway, and he had to get permission from the Queen, and that was very ceremonial. Like, the Queen never says no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's happened over like many, many years, like before even Queen Elizabeth. One thing I wanted to note, just in terms of cast, we talked a lot about the cast, but Wendy Crewson, who played Rose, I really liked the actress. I liked her presence. I liked her acting in the film.
Did you recognize her from anything else?
I did not recognize her from anything else. I think I looked her up, and she's had other roles, but nothing that I recognize as being humongous at the time.
Oh, I just recognize her as being the most annoying wife in The Santa Claus.
No, that's not the same person.
Is it not?
Let me look her up. Oh, you mean, okay, yeah, you are right. You are right. And you meant his actual ex-wife, right?
Yeah.
I thought you meant the person who became Mrs. Claus.
No, yeah, the one.
I was like, no, she's cool.
Yeah. Also hate her, but that's just from Lost. But anyway.
I mean, Lost was just stupid, right?
Oh.
Like, that's not...
Yeah.
That's Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I liked Rose. I liked Wendy Crewson in this film, at least. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite part of the movie?
Remember, I mentioned my favorite part in the script was the plan to shoot at the plane. Again, I was a little disappointed that it came from the president. Like, I know the president's supposed to be cool and he's got all the good ideas, but I just like that some ideas were coming from other places and that it was like a team effort. But I did like just that shot when that plan is going on into motion and you get the shot of Air Force One and all the fighters that are following along just breaking away to fire on the plane. Like, I still like that entire scene.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
No. Do I have a favorite part? No. I mean, it's just going to be the tears part. It's going to be, yeah. My favorite part is Liberty 2-4 changing call signs to Air Force One.
Gotcha.
Cue the tears.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, I think that wraps us up for Air Force One, the film, right? Unless you had anything else you wanted to say?
So one thing that surprised me in the film, I guess this might be a change, or I think it was just really a director's choice, was that when Maria Mitchell in the script, I think Melanie Mitchell in the film, had the gun to her head and they were doing the countdown, when she's about to get shot, Harrison Ford turns his back to the camera, she gets shot, and then he like cowers a little bit. And I was like, why did we see this from the back? Why didn't we see how this hit his face? It was just like such a important, like strong moment that I wanted to see how that registered on his face. I thought it was an interesting, albeit weird choice to do it from the back.
Oh, fair enough. I don't know why they did that. Maybe he tried, and as per your judgment of Harrison Ford, his acting wasn't up to par, so they're just like, we're going to do this from the back.
Which We just want to shoot this from all angles. We'll get that. We're just going to turn around and get one from over here.
Yeah. It's just my back. You can't see any of my acting. It's great. Great. Just roll.
I do want to give credit to the director. I don't think we named him yet, but that was Wolfgang Peterson. So the movie was Wolfgang Peterson, and the script was Andrew W. Marlowe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think I have anything else.
Perfect. Then it's our classic conundrum, Beck. We come to it again. Somehow it happens every time. Which one did you like better, the script or the film?
I like the film better because I understood the plane, which I didn't in the script. And yeah, Gary Oldman was amazing.
Yeah.
I missed Alice's sass, but everything else that was heightened and cleaner just made up for that lacking.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I like the film better. I did think that there were some things I would have preferred they kept from the script, but there were some things they changed that I preferred. So I think in the end, this film is just cleaner and better in general.
Awesome.
Perfect. So with that said, we're done Air Force One, but tune in. We've got another episode coming up next. So what are we doing next, Beck? What's on our docket?
We are going to be reading the script Diner by Barry Levinson from 1982.
Going back
it's
to
a
the 80s.
comedy.
Ooh, a comedy. Good. Lighthearted. I mean, this one was kind of a comedy at times too, but what's this even about? Obviously, it's about a diner, right?
Yeah, it unfolds in a diner. I don't know much about it apart from it was very influential for Judd Apatow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But did he write on it? Oh, no, it influenced him. Okay, I
Yes.
see what you mean. Yeah, cool. Very cool. Okay, well, I guess we'll see why it was such an influence then.
Exactly. Let's do it.
Very cool. All right. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Later.